Well, yet another incident of school violence in Johannesburg. A 14-year-old boy has been stabbed to death by another pupil. The boys were both from Freedom Park Secondary. The stabbing happened after school near their homes. Let's now speak to Gauteng Education spokesperson, that's Steve Mabona, for clarity on this particular issue. Steve, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the rundown. I mean, this is another tragic incident that the Education Department has to deal with. What are some of the facts surrounding this particular incident?
Thank you very much, and to all our viewers. Look, it's quite sad. I mean, we lost our words. We don't know what to say anymore. That's why I was saying to other people that maybe we must stop counting, because one was saying, yes, indeed, this is the death number 16 since we open our academic year, but maybe we need to stop counting. Look, we are informed that later in the afternoon, these two learners from Freedom Park Secondary, there was no any indication that they might be fighting or there might be a squabble of some sort. But later we were then informed that when they were closer to their home after school, then this other one decided to stab the other. And unfortunately, he could not survive the stabbing. He died on the scene. And quite sad indeed. And the police are investigating because he was on the run when we were informed about this, incident. So we hope that the police will then probably apprehend him.
Have there been any arrests so far, Steve?
Come again?
Have there been any arrests so far? Has the pupil, the perpetrator, been arrested?
No, currently we don't have that confirmed information that he's been arrested because he was on the run, last night. So, but we are hoping that police will apprehend. I mean, he's a learner, probably he might have been scared or he was shocked himself. We don't know. But we support the police and we will provide any information that will assist them. What we did was to send our social team at the school. But school went as normal. So that is an indication that probably they did not even think that this will be happening. So we will support them and make sure that they are in a state where Monday probably they'll come back. But it's quite shocking. It's something that we really don't want to see. That's why we call upon parents to say, let them assist us to instill discipline in our children. I mean, children can't think about saving each other. They can't think about violating each other, causing harm. That's the last thing to be taught by any learner or anyone in our environment. So we really appeal to parents to assist us.
And just speaking of parents there, Steve, have you had a chance to speak to the 14-year-old victim's family, his parents?
I could not get that.
Were you able to speak to the 14-year-old victim's family members, his parents particularly?
No, the family was informed. They were part of, they were there, and they saw what, we had to be with them last night, because it happened very late in the afternoon. So the scene was cleared very late as well. So hence we felt that let's just make sure that we have all what we need in terms of the information before we inform, the public about this. You'll understand that we also had an incident that happened in one high school where learners were rushed to hospitals because they, consumed, cookies, those that probably have drugs. But we are happy that out of the 89 learners that we admitted, at least we are left with 12. And we're hopeful that the authorities will be in a position to probably discharge them today, and we wish them well so that they speedily recover from this debacle.
And just speaking about that particular case which you raised right now, where a number of learners were hospitalized for eating or rather consuming what is believed to be poisoned food. I mean, what are you doing as an education to ensure that you regulate where children buy their food, particularly while they are on school premises, under the school's watch, what they consume, what they eat? Are there plans to ensure that they are rather informed and educated, but also protected from just eating anything that comes from anywhere while they're on school premises?
Indeed, it's quite a challenge, because when you look at the economy of the country, people will try to make some ends meet, and it's probably for SGB to take a blanket decision to say we don't want anyone, selling here. But what they need to put an emphasis on is the rules and, the regulations on how they then need to operate in and around our schools, make sure that food that is, being sold, it's one that has been cleared. So on that score, we will be going very close to the SGB to assist them to make sure that anyone who sells in and around our schools will be selling food that will not be contaminated, food that will not be laced with the drugs, food that will be safe at all times. So that's a space that we will go very closely to it, because it's not the first incident where we have such, food that is being, sold by people in and around our school, and we end up with this.
Yeah. And you also talk about, community members trying to make ends meet and selling outside of schools, but also children perhaps could only afford to buy whatever that is cheap and affordable at that time. So I think that's where the parents also need to come into play to assist the Department of Basic Education in advising their children not to just buy anything at any point. Steve, the consequences of, the person who had sold these scones to the learners, are you at liberty to tell us what you have so far about them?
Look, if they are found to be tracked, and the police will apprehend. Remember the incident that we reported last week that involved Ikusasale to school in Transfisher. The perpetrator or the woman involved was arrested, and there's a case at hand that she needs to appear and make sure that he takes responsibility. The two learners that were also found who were actually failing, they were also taken to task, and make sure that on the 24th, we said, they will be appearing before the SGP just to take necessary disciplinary process to say, how do you have dealers? Drug dealing is quite a serious criminal offense in the country. At school as well, it's an offense that will not be tolerated. So definitely, I can assure you that those learners, it's a matter of making sure that they appear before necessary disciplinary processes, but I can tell you that they would not make it at that school.
Thank you for talking to us. That was Gauteng Education spokesperson Steve Mabona.